Welcome to this episode of the Keto Vegan. I am Rach, I am your host. In today's episode, I'm going to teach you a very simple technique that can really help give you the resources that you need, the emotional resources, the characteristics that you want. It's called anchoring. It's an NLP technique. If you've heard of NLP, you'll know there's lots of very helpful, quick techniques that can give you these resources and things that you need for your life to help you move on and be successful. So what it is, anchoring, by the way, NLP is neuro-linguistic programming, neuro, words, programs. That's what it's all about. And I've learned this through the work that I do with hypnotherapy and development and training and all that sort of thing. And it is a very useful tool to use. And you can use it for anything. You can have more than one anchor. So this is called anchoring. You can use it as often as you need. I'm not going to be specific about the resource. So go with this. You can do this wherever. Actually, eyes closed moments, you can't do this wherever. You need to have a safe space. Okay, so let's get started. First of all, what I want you to do is identify a difficult situation where you want to be more resourceful or capable or confident or more in control. Now, this is the Keto Vegan podcast, so let's go with being in control of eating, not overeating, for example. Now, as I said, so that you can use this for any situation that you want. It doesn't just have to be in the area of food and control. It can be any area that you want to be stronger and where you want a new emotional resource. So, step one, identify a difficult situation in which you'd like to be more resourceful. Identify the resource that you want in this situation. It could be willpower. It could be self-control. It could be confidence, bravery, fearlessness, any of those things, patience, being calm. It depends on your life and what you want, doesn't it? So think now. So you've identified the resource that you want, and now identify the best example of having experienced that desired state from your own life. When was that time you were most that state that you want? That calmness, resourcefulness, confidence, peace, self-control. Identify when you most felt that way, a particular, specific time. Don't make it general. It needs to be a very powerful memory of when you experienced that desired state, think whatever desired state that is, from your own life. Okay? Not related to the difficult situation that you're in now, from your own life in the past. What if you can't think when you've ever had that resource that you want in your own life, or you have no memory of it? Identify someone who has that desired quality, either in real life or a fictitious character. So spend some time identifying that now. So that's 3 steps so far. Identify the difficult situation, identify the resource that you want, and now you are getting an example, your best example of that moment in your life when you had that resource. If you haven't experienced it yourself, when a fictitious character has it, or someone you know, real or fictitious, who has that desired quality. So, for example, if you're looking for confidence and you can't remember a time you ever felt that real confidence, then who do you know that has that confidence? Who do you know fictitious that is that confident, that state that you want, or self-control, or never overeating, all those things? Make it really clear in your mind now, that memory explicitly clear. Got it? What else might that resource give you? What else can you gain from feeling that thing or having that personality trait, that resource? You might want to now share that memory with somebody by verbalizing it. Sometimes it makes it even clearer in your mind. If I was doing this with you direct, I'd ask you to share that memory with me right now. Okay, so what are we going to do now? We are going to create that state. We're going to go into that memory and pull out that resource of whatever it is. Is there a word, first of all, that would capture that for you? Now, I think when I've done this before with confidence, I just use the word confidence, self-control, conscious eating, consciousness, calm, whatever. Give that resource that a word that really connects you with that memory, with the resource that you want. Also, when you think of that resource, is that a breath in or is that a breath out? So if you were to use breath for that resource, what is it? Is it in or out? Because you're going to do that as well when we anchor that resource that you want. It might sound complicated right now. It's actually not. It's really good. Once you've got the anchor all anchored in, then it's really effective, really simple. So you are now going to choose the unique gesture for your first anchor. I advise it's a really simple, subtle gesture that nobody will notice you doing so that you can do it whenever you need it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to tell you what your first anchor gesture is. If you are right-handed, use your left hand. If you are left-handed, use your right hand so that you can, if you perhaps need this resource when you are writing, you can do it with your other non-dominant hand. So the resource, the gesture is going to be squeezing your finger and thumb together, squeezing them nice and tight together. And you can do this so discreetly that nobody would notice. You don't want to be doing something that makes people question, what are they doing? That's weird. You don't want that. You want something that's really easy to do and really subtle to do as well. So we've got our gesture, something not noticeable by anybody else. Perfect. And we now need to create a circuit in our mind to create the thoughts and the gesture as well. So let's just imagine there is this circuit that can turn on a light switch. When the circuit comes together, the light switch goes on and everything is there, bright, and the emotions, the resource that you need is absolutely secure. So we need to work now on hard wiring that circuit, the neural pathway that will connect this with the gesture with the resource that you want. Don't need to go into trance. You don't need to lie down. You don't need to do anything. Just get yourself comfortable. This is why you can't do it when you're driving. I want you to close your eyes, just so that you block out any external distractions like me waving my hands in the air. So first of all, take a few slow breaths to get comfortable. In and out. 3 breaths is ideal. And close your eyes. And I now want you to access your chosen resource memory by stepping into it. What were you wearing? Can you remember? See what you saw. Hear what you heard. Feel that emotion. feel the feeling, be there in that memory, fully connect with it. That feeling, what did it give you? If you used another person, get inside of them as if you are them until you feel that desired experience, that desired feeling, that desired characteristic. Take as long as you need with this. So I want you now to make it so vivid. Rise that up within you as if you can even touch it and taste it and feel the reality of it. And when those feelings rise to a peak, say the word you associate with it, breathe the way that you would breathe with it, and do your gesture. And then when you're ready, release the gesture and open your eyes. And we need to break the state. So by now, just say your telephone number out loud. Go. And then we're going to wire it harder. We're going to make the neural pathway more significant. So you're going to do that again. So when I say breathe, it's the breathe in that's associated with that emotion, that resource, or it's the breathe out that you associate with that resource. I won't say breathe in or breathe out. I'll just say breathe. And you make sure that you are breathing in the way that you associate with that resource. So let's do this again. Close your eyes. Feel that feeling again. Really go back into it. And what's going to happen? Your amazing brain this time will know what's going on. And it will be eager to go back there. It will be easier to go back there because it's a lovely, lovely memory full of positive emotions. And what you might find this time, it might notice more things. It might take in different things you might not have seen or felt for ages, perhaps someone you haven't seen for a long time. Feel those emotions, see it, hear it, be there, all these wonderful emotions of this resource that you want, the associations. And again, when those emotions and feelings reach a wonderful peak, say your word, breathe your breath, and do your gesture. Anchor it. Take it as long as you want. And when you've done, open your eyes again. And then you need to break the state again. Look for something green in your room. And then you now know what to do. And if you can't think what to do, you can just rewind this thing by a couple of minutes. I want you now, the way to really, really anchor that feeling, that resource that you want, is to do it 3 more times to get it really secure. If I was doing it with you in person, you'd be doing it and then you just tell me when you're done. And then we're going to test, we're going to future proof this. We're going to test that it works. If it doesn't work, you need to build that anchor again. Make the whole feeling, the whole emotion much more vivid, much clearer, as in really, really feel it. Feel as if you are and have that resource in absolute abundance when you are feeling those feelings. Okay, so you're going to do it 3 more times at least. So we're going to test. Okay, so pause this, do it more 3 times, ready to play. Right. You have now anchored that resource at least 5 times. You've practiced it 5 times. If you haven't, do it. So let's test it now. We're going to simply fire the anchor with eyes open. You're going to say the word Don't need to say it out loud. You're going to do your gesture, whichever one it is, and you're going to do your breath. And then see what comes up emotionally when you fire your anchor, or release, if I can fire your anchor. So do that now. Does that feel the way you want it to feel? Let's future pace, okay? So imagine yourself in the scenario that you first thought of that made you think, this is what I need to face that situation. Think of yourself in that difficult situation that you first identified. And then fire your anchor. We are future pacing. How does it feel when you are imagining yourself in that difficult situation, but you are doing your breath, you're saying your word, and you're firing your anchor? It should feel so much better than it did when you first thought of it. If it hasn't made much difference, work on it, because our neural pathways are incredible. We can build them up, and the more we practice something, the better it gets. The myelin sheath builds up and it becomes a smoother pathway to make it easier and easier and easier. And our brains are incredible. So if you think, oh, this isn't going to work for me, it is actually. It is going to work for you. The more you practice something, the easier it becomes, the better it becomes, and life just gets better, better, and better. Isn't that great? Thank God for that. Okay, so that is one anchor that you have done. And what is wonderful about this, you can stack up your anchors. You can create different anchors. It can be different fingers. It can be a different gesture. You can have whatever, as long as it works for you. So if you think of another memory that holds the resource you need, then also go through it as again and build into that original anchor of that resource you need. If there is another resource that you need, do it again, but with a different anchor. I really, really hope this was helpful. Use it where you need the strength, where you want to improve, and just see what happens. See how it works. Build it more and more and more every single day. So practice it. How long is it going to take you to practice? 5 seconds. That's all. Not even that, because all you're doing is saying a word, doing your anchor, and doing your breath in or out. I hope you found this helpful. I am going to do some tapping with you next week, which again is a resource. It's called emotional freedom technique, and people call it tapping because you tap, okay? And what we do, we tap on the meridian points, and by tapping on them when we're saying words, it takes the power out of those words and it creates the way our brain processes stuff. So again, this is a really powerful tool that you can do on yourself. I'll see you next episode.